What's up, y'all? I am not a priest. And what we're talking about here today is really heavy, right? Like we're talking about like a big industry-wide problem. And everybody we've heard from today has been from positions of power, and they're really awesome at what they do, and they're really trying to make change. I'm just an engineer. And I'm actually here to talk about from the other side. I'm talking about what it was like when I started as an engineer, and why conversations like these are still important. So I'm gonna break the bro code down for y'all. All right, disclaimer, like, I wrote this talk a long time ago. This is not the official, like, Twilio slide, and, like, you'll see that there's some outdated stuff in there. I will correct it. But when I was thinking about doing this talk, I was thinking about updating it, I was thinking about doing other things, and I realized that everything I talked about 3, 4, 5 years ago is still super relevant today. So what am I going to talk about? Well, TLDR, I'm a queer woman of color, and I'm an engineer, and I fucking belong here. And so this is who I am. I generally go by Dom, but I put Dominique because in San Francisco, Dom has a different connotation. I used to be in cloud infrastructure and security as an engineer. I'm now all over the platform engineering space. I've been an engineer in the platform space for going on 5 years now, and before that I was in the system admin space. It was just, I had a way of getting here. And I did start the diversity and inclusion at Twilio. So you can always reach me at Dom at Twilio. My handle of all the social medias is it's Hello Dom. If you happen to have taken a picture of me and you want to tweet it, please tag me, because I taught my grandma how to use Twitter, and she's like super proud of me. Okay, I'm also really bad at doing slides. I'm just gonna let you know that. So who am I? To be honest, there's a little bit of history behind me. I'm an engineer now, but that's not where I wanted to be. And that's not where I thought I was gonna be. You see, I went to college because I thought that's what you're supposed to do. That's what everybody in my life in college, or in high school, was doing. And I got the opportunity to go to college and be the first person in my family to go to college. So I went. And I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I was not a very good student, actually. I did these things where I would walk by a classroom and I'd like what I heard, and I just kind of wandered in there and stayed. If I didn't like it, I would wander right back out. And I was also in college when there was a bunch of California budget cuts, so I had scholarship plus no degree, no path forward. And so I ended up having all these things on my transcript, like communication analysis, or broadcast communications, or gender identity and feminism, and I even have something called growth through adventure. And I just kept kind of jumping around, and I never did anything in STEM. I never did anything in math. I never did anything in science. I never did anything tech related at all. But I did everything else. And so about after 7 years of doing that, the dean pulls me in their office, and they're just like, listen, you need to leave. And in college, it's kind of hard when you don't know what you want to do. You've been in college your entire career. And so what they did for me is they said, all right, let's take everything you've learned and make a central thesis out of it, and that will be your degree. So I am standing here today with a degree in a communication analysis of heteronormativity in lesbian media from 2001 to 2007. I got to watch the L word for my major. And I thought that when I graduated, I made my own major. I I'm creative. I knew how to make something of myself. And I thought that going into the workforce, that was going to be something impressive. And I went and I applied everywhere, and I thought everyone was going to be super impressed that I did this, and they were not. Actually, what they thought was that I couldn't keep with anything, and they thought that I would jump around. And it was really discouraging. Now, I didn't mean to go into what I do now. I jumped around everywhere, and I kind of just landed. And college is expensive. So while I was in college, and ever since I was 14, I've worked 3 jobs at a time. And one of the worst jobs I've ever had is actually what landed me where I am today. How do I put this? All the experiences I'm going to talk about today are not about Twilio. So it's not about my company. But they are my experiences. And I'm not going to tell you who or where they were from, specifically because they can happen anywhere. Specifically because every time I've done this talk, I've had someone come up to me and say they'd had that exact same experience, and I have no idea who they are or their company. So it doesn't really matter where these things happened, because they happened. So I worked at this really shitty company for a while, and it wasn't even like tech, it was like tech adjacent. And I don't want to say which company it was, but it was just shit, right? Like I hated it. And the reason I hated it wasn't just because it was some retail corporate job, it was because of where I was and who I knew I was. You see, outside of being an engineer and outside of what you can see as me being a queer woman of color, I didn't grow up with money. I didn't grow up with a lot of opportunity. And so when I'm sitting there at a desk trying to help somebody, and I know that I'm in an area that is in a low-income area, when I have somebody else at the other side of the desk that tells me that their laptop crashed and it is the only place that they have of their late husband, and I have to sit there and tell them that it's $800 for me to run a disk that cleans it up, and that is their entire, that's all their money. And my heart just broke every single time. And so what I did was I said, well, this company will charge you this much, this person right here will not, and I get off at 8. And I did that for a while, and it turns out I did it for the right person. Because they shared that experience, and they shared that experience with a recruiter at a big tech company. And they gave me a shot. And so I told you I've been in tech for a while. I was in tech with the rise of the programmer. You know, let's start by talking about what the programmer is first. So with the programmer, historically in tech you think that it's all nerdy guys, right? Or, you know, people who erase history and forget that women had started it, but whatever. But you think it's nerdy guys. But then money started coming in. And now all of these frat guys that you saw in college and you thought you got away from because they usually go into finance and sales are now flooding into the cubicles next to you or the tables next to you, and they're doing beer pong between deployments and crushing it. And you sit there and you're like, I can't believe this is what I signed up for. Shit. And what's interesting is it didn't just change that industry, it started to shape it. And you start seeing the ways that it bleeds in. Like, you ever watched Silicon Valley? I stopped after the first season because there was not a single female engineer that was represented. And so I'm going to talk to you about what it was like to work with them. I went through 5 specific stages of working with a programmer. The first was denial. It's not that I denied that they exist, because they made their presence very, very clear. But it was denial of skill set. People didn't believe that I could do what I do because I didn't come from an Ivy League, because I didn't have a bunch of internships, because I was a woman, because I was younger, because I was a person of color. Whatever it was, I was not good enough to be there. And the second was like the denial of my sexuality. That one is know I was gay, because, but it was that they refused to see me as a queer woman. And that's different. Because I can be in a room with a bunch of people and they'll tell me like, oh yeah, it's cool you're gay. I dated a bi girl once. And I'm like, yeah, no, who doesn't? But it's different. And when people forget that you were both of those identities, they choose which one they want to play with, the one they want to be their buddy. And so I had to sit there and listen to people making sexist remarks against women and thinking that it was okay because, I like women too. And finally I just had enough and I said, you know what? We both may like women, but I actually respect them. So I am not on your level. And the second is anger. I was so angry. I hated working with them. I had all this unwelcome commentary and all these things that were just little paper cuts. There was one instance where it was me and a coworker who were up for the same promotion. And in this promotion, I got it. We started at the same time, we did the same things, but I ended up getting it. So we went out for drinks to celebrate, 1 beer in, it's like, you totally deserved it, it was great, I'm so proud of you. 4 beers in, it's, I can totally see why I chose you. You're a hat trick. I'm like, what's a hat trick? Well, a hat trick is when you're a 3 for 1. So I am gay, I'm brown, and I'm a woman. That's why I got the job. And I have to deal with things like that all the time. And then the next is bargaining, right? So with bargaining, it's different. Because when you're with a team and you're the only person of your identity and that identity is being challenged, but everybody else gets to go out for beers because they're friends and you just don't fit in. You start to want to fit in because you want to be part of a team. And then I became one of them. I became super bro-y just so I could fit in. I mean, that is not too long ago. I'm wearing 2 watches. I am one of the bro-iest people you will ever meet. Okay, I asked somebody, like, do you think I'm really bro-y? And they're like, yeah, you're one of the bro-iest people I've ever met. That person does CrossFit. Okay? I'm super bro-y. And I started to embrace that because I thought that's what it meant to be fitting in. I thought that's what it meant to be able to have that promotion, and it wasn't. So I got really sad. I hated my job. I didn't want to work there. I wanted to leave tech entirely because every experience I had was representative of I don't belong here. And this isn't really what it is. It's not acceptance. But I learned how to work with them. And I learned how to make a mark. So here's a couple of things I want you to take away. First of all, there is no traditional programmer. If you think that programmers are just the people that you see on Silicon Valley or that type of person, it's not. Some of the best mentors and people I know are people who look like programmers, but some of the most brilliant people I know look like me. So you can't just judge them. I mean, this is my stand-up. I was not the shortest, but, I definitely looked different than everybody else in that picture. But they were some of the greatest people I know and helped me out all the time. The next is that imposter syndrome is totally normal. When I first became an engineer, I was in a permanent panic attack for like 3 months. It's terrifying. I didn't know what I was doing. Everybody else has been doing this for years. And someone pulled me aside and said, "You're doing fine." And that was all it took. And the next one is to be the driver. Have you ever worked in a place where you have to talk to either the customer or the product manager and then also design it and do it? Because what they're going to tell you is, I would like application A to work with application B using communication C. And as a junior engineer, all I heard was, I would like you to draw 2 green circles using only straight lines and red ink. It's terrifying. And what I did is I always asked for help because I was okay asking for help. But when I started asking for help too much, they would just do it for me, and I didn't learn. I couldn't prove myself because I wasn't learning. And so we started to make carving out times that I can learn and be better. One of the last things is that careers are not ladders. You know, my dad told me that you should climb up the corporate ladder. That's all I can do. So I'm an engineer, I'm going to be a senior engineer, I'm going to be a director, I'm going to go and I'm going to do these things. That's not how life works. Because life is more like rock climbing. You know, rock climbing is really hard. And there's no direct way up. And sometimes you hit a plateau. Sometimes you have to reassess. Sometimes you even go backwards just so you can go up. And the most important thing is that you have to have a support system in rock climbing and in your career and in life. When I felt like I was the only this, I was the only that, I started to look and so hungry for someone who looked like me so I felt less alone. And I found them. I started going to different events. I started to talk with people that knew my experiences. And it was helping. It made me feel a little bit more calm. And the last thing is that high fives are really awesome. I love high fives. I really love high fives. But really what high fives are they're public recognition. You did a good job. And being recognized publicly is really important. And so I came here, I don't have any solutions for all of you. I believe that everybody here knows what they're doing, and I believe everyone here has the best of intent. But know that every experience I talked about is not just my own. And that's why the work that all of you do is important. So thank you.
Questions on Slido, or raise your hand if you would like the mic to ask one.
What advice would I give to young women graduates applying to engineer jobs? Don't give up. That's the one thing I can tell you. Because the amount of times that I know I wanted to give up, and the amount of times I see it in somebody else that they want to give up, there's so much that you have to offer. And yes, you will be told no, and yes, you will be challenged. But you belong here. And one of the things I can tell you is network all you want. You can network, you can study all you want, but you belong here. And that's the best advice that I can tell somebody, because sometimes some people forget. I think that's it for me, unless somebody else has. Okay. Okay, so it's not new that everybody knows that people refer people who are like them because they're in their network. So do bro recruiters help the bro grabber problem? Maybe, but in actuality, if you educate everybody in your company and you make sure that you do not condone those types of behaviors, and not only not condone them, but you educate them afterwards, then they're not going to seek out people who won't fit in with the company in that way, right? Maybe they help, maybe they don't, but one way that you can help is to not just go to the same colleges. Don't just go to the same events. Don't just recruit at AWS or any other just specific event. Go somewhere where you know people are able to go. Do I see microaggressions as teaching moments? Yes. I see them as teaching moments, but I also see them as super tolling. I'm one of the people that's patient, and I will think that everyone comes from a good place, and I will teach them. But you cannot expect everybody to do that. It's hard. I don't want to teach you all the time. I don't want to say the same thing all the time. But they are teaching moments. I believe that everyone comes from a good place. The characteristics of the best manager I ever had. You know why I work at Twilio? Because they believed in me before I believed in myself. My first interview there, I went in for an entry-level position that I didn't even think I was going to get. And the second person interviewing me asked me, why are you going for this? I looked at your resume. You can do something else. And they offered me a position that I would have never had the guts to even go for. They were my managers. And I think the characteristics is that they see things in you that you don't see in yourself. They advocate for you in meetings that you're not in. And they notice the different microaggressions that may not apply to them. But they call them out. I don't know how much time I have.
Let's do 2 more questions.
What are things I've done to boost my confidence? Started boxing, that helps. I took time for myself. When I had that badass imposter syndrome where it was taking me over and I was working 70 to 80 hours a week just so I think that I could prove myself somehow, I was dying. And then I took a step back and took a vacation, turned off all of my notifications, and I took time for myself and realized the world doesn't suck. Life wasn't supposed to be this hard, and that I can take a step back and I don't have to take everybody's burden. I know all of you want to solve this problem, but you need to take time for yourselves as well. Okay, I'm going to do this one. As a minority in tech, how do I deal with the pressure to speak for other minorities and or take on the problem? I'm trained to be a public speaker. That was the scholarship I had. I used to think I was funny, so I tried to be a comedian and failed at that. And so I'm comfortable in front of people. I'm comfortable trying to tackle this problem at a large scale. Do I feel like I have to speak for others? I don't have everybody's voice. I have the identities that I have and my experiences, but I do not have everyone's voice. And so when somebody comes up to me and asks me, like, can you speak for all lesbians in the company? I'm going to say, no, I don't. But do I feel like I take on the problem of D&I all the time? No. Because I found a network of people who help me, and who fight with me, and who stand up with me against things like microaggressions. Okay? Cool.
Thanks so much.